we decided that we're going to just do a traditional StreamYard chat here, which means that you can only see this on Twitch. But that's okay. If you're not, you get to listen to this much later. I am with Chuck Pineau. We're just talking about, how to improve when you know you suck. That's literally where we're at. And I'm talking about, like, for me, I did my first novel last year, and it was great. I did it. I broke that plane. I did that novel. Looking back, there are some things I could do so much better. I don't think I'm proud of that book, but I'm looking at it. It's like, oh my god, I could have been like, there are things I could have done, just little things I could have done that would have made it so much better. And so that's why I'm being a little slower with my next release, because it's like I've learned so much. There's still things that I like there are still things that I know that are going to just come with practice, but it's like, okay, I'm not going to make the same mistakes twice.
Yeah.
Because that once anybody can forgive you, twice you got problems, and
well, twice either you have refused to learn or that's your style. And for some people, that might just be their style.
Yeah. I can be bad on purpose. Like, sometimes it's okay to be bad on purpose, right? But
I have a hard time with it. I have a very hard time with it.
There's sometimes it serves a point. Like if you do like a parody style thing where like you're just going out of your way to be bad, that can be amazing. Like, right? But outside of that, going out of your way to be bad twice, like once, okay, you know what? I can definitely fuck up. It totally can happen, right? But twice, okay, either I'm dumb, and it's possible. I'll totally admit, like, sometimes, like, right, I can admit that. But for the rest of us, it's like, why? Like why did you do that twice? It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right? Then there's like, well, I'm insane. It's my style. So you're insane. Okay, you're that right. That's kind of where I'm at. It's like, okay, I don't know what to do. I can't stand this. But I mean, and no one else can, but you sometimes.
Well, and you know what? We also have to remember that there's an awful lot of hobbyists out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're writing books and they're creating comics and they're doing all this stuff because it's fun.
Absolutely.
And so the problem is that, if that comes by your desk as a reviewer, I don't know that. I have to treat them all like they're professional.
Yes.
And I have to assume that that's what they are. And then, of course, and I was saying to you before we started, if I get something that it's irredeemable, I can't find enough good to talk about it, and I can't, in good conscience, try to sell it, because that's kind of what a review is.
Yes.
You are kind of saying, I like this, and I would or would not recommend it. And especially with indies, I don't want to not recommend it. I don't like doing that. So instead, I'd like to spin it and go, well, I recommend it for these people because I think you guys would like it. It's not for me or whatever.
And sometimes it's fair. Like, sometimes it is also a matter of taste too. Like, there are things I've reviewed and like, okay, this is not for me. Mm-hmm. It's good though. I can't deny that it's good.
But there's some things that are just bad. Like, it doesn't matter if it's, and I'm not going to be that guy who's like, it's so bad it's good. No, man, it's shit. Like, I don't know how to say it nicely to you. If I made something that was shit and I realized that it was shit, I don't think that I would try to spin it. I'd try to bury it and move the fuck on.
There are a couple of interviews I've done. There's just not many, but there's like a couple of them where you're like, okay, I did it. I'm not proud of this. I'm not, but I did it.
Yep.
So what do I do here? I can't pretend it didn't happen. As much as I might want to, I can't pretend it didn't happen. And there's two. Now, one, in all fairness to her, it has nothing to do with her as a person. It's just when she's on camera, she becomes a different person. She didn't engage. And that's also a bit of a failure on me. That's the downside to my style, is if there's not an engagement thing, I'm hooped, right? Because I do these things so off the cuff now that like I do some research, but not like I did when I started for sure, right?
Yeah.
That's where I'm hooped. So fair enough, that one's on me. But the other one I did, there was another one I did that was so bad that after I was in it, and the moment it started, it was a train wreck. The moment it started, it was right. So once you and you know it, like when it like you're in this thing, you're like I'm stuck until this is over,
Yep.
and it's like you look at that and you go, well, it's done. I did it.
I've been in 4-hour-long interviews where I got to speak for maybe 30 minutes. And I was like, this was a fucking waste of my time. Like, you just get so angry. I remember being in an interview with 4 hours. I probably got about half an hour of that time. And of course, we're talking about not half an hour in a row, like parsed out through that time.
Oh yeah.
And there was one guy on there who all of us were pushing Kickstarters at the time and projects, and he would keep jumping in and interrupting motherfuckers while they were talking about their projects that they're trying to get eyes on and get money for right now for a project that he had coming out 5-6 months down the road. And I was like, how is this host not saying, shut the fuck up and let these fucking guys speak? Like, I was so pissed off. And I can't, if I say anything, I'm that asshole. And I don't want to be that asshole on someone else's show. I could do it on mine.
Absolutely. No, on your show, you have the absolute right to be a prick.
Right?
Yeah. On somebody else's show, you have to be very. I've held my tongue on a couple shows. I've even been a witness on, because it's just like, it's not my show. I want to say something, but it's not my show, right? And I've had conversations. There's one I remember that they brought up the word privilege on something, and it was on something I didn't really think was coming from a place of privilege on my end, but it's their show. I'm not going to do that on the air with their show. We talked off the air, right? So that but not on the air, because it's like, okay, you know what? This is your baby. I'm not that asshole here.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't be like somebody else worked their butt off on their show, that somebody else is doing something. You can't, you don't, unless you really see someone being taken advantage of, you do not have the right to be the villain on somebody else's show.
Yeah, unless that's what they've asked for. Like, they brought you on specifically, that's what you're there to do. By the way, just so you're aware, especially you out there, I was told that this was a drinking show. So
yes,
this is filled with whiskey and Coke, Canadian whiskey and Coke.
I got brandy coming up. I needed to eat something before I drank, because I am the interviewer. Like, me being drunk would entertain people, I have no doubt. But I'm doing I'm doing temporary housing right now. It's exactly what I did before, and today was a heavy day. So I'm like, I need to eat something before I drink, because if I don't eat something, I'm gonna get killed. I even got some metal. I picked a pretty fun metal band, I think, to listen to tonight. So have you ever heard? Have you ever heard of Eluvite?
I've heard of them, but I haven't heard their stuff.
Okay, I got a song for you from them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I picked out one too.
Yeah, because I figured like I like I said, you were like one. The cool thing about, I still remember, like, the thing that makes me pop every time from the last interview is when we talked metal, and you're like, oh, okay, he's talking metal. It's like, and I said, just say one band, and it's okay, I'm in. He's actually fucking serious, right?
Yeah.
So right.
Well, because people will be like, oh yeah, I'm a huge metalhead. I love Five Finger Death Punch, and when that's the, I don't mind if you like them, but if that's the first band that you mention, I'm like, oh, this isn't going anywhere great.
No, this is going downhill.
Most likely.
It's like that should not be your opener.
Yeah, if someone's like, oh, I'm a huge Meshuggah fan, you're like, oh, fuck, okay, you're serious. Oh, all right, yeah, I'm listening. What's up? Like, It's like, okay, so when you go, this is an unwritten rule, people, for those of you out there. When you go to a metal show, you do not wear the shirt of the band that is there. If you wear that shirt, it needs to be an older one to show your pedigree. It's an unwritten rule. If you bought the shirt there, everyone right away is like, you're fucking lame ass. Buy the shirt on your way out like a normal person.
Yeah.
You should have come prepared. So what you do is, like, let's say I'm going to a Megadeth shirt. What you're gonna want to do then is, they already know you like Megadeth. What else do you like? So then I would go and I would wear my Machine Head shirt. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. This dude's a mad thrash guy. He's a little more okay, cool. And so they now know that you're serious about this shit, and you're not just some guy who's there like with a friend or for whatever reason. So yeah, man, when people mention the bands that they enjoy, it automatically tells you what kind of a fan they are. And you're like, all right, I get it.
Well, my default mode is Slayer, because nobody bitches about Slayer. No one. It's like one of those things where you go to if you don't know what kind of, especially if you don't know the kind of metal you're getting into, it doesn't matter what metal you're like. Nobody, they're one of those bands nobody bitches about.
Yeah. At the worst, you might get someone who goes, yeah, I get it. They're not my thing. And you're like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's it.
But no metalhead is like, Slayer fucking sucks. Nah, you just don't hear that.
In fact, if I ever hear that from a metalhead, I'll be like, really? What's good for you? I want to know this. I want to know what is good.
That's the follow-up.
Because because no one bitches about that one, right?
Yeah, if they suck, what are you listening to?
Yeah. I'll hear people bitch about Ghost. Ghost is another decent metal band, right? Hard rock metal band. On the border. I'll hear people bitch about Ghost before they'll bitch about Slayer.
I'm one of the ones who will actually come down on Ghost. Yep.
Yep. Right. And that's fair. But you won't but the same thing. Like, you won't say anything.
But I won't challenge someone's pedigree, though.
Yeah.
Because if they say I like Ghost, I'm like, okay, fine.
Yep.
I will admit that you're a metalhead. I don't understand it. I don't get why people are into them. For me, they're too kind of melodic and like when people are like, oh, they're my favorite metal band, I'm like, I don't always understand how they're metal.
Favorite's a bit strong. That's. But
I do get that a lot from people. They're like, oh, I fucking love Ghost, and I'm like, yeah, I don't get how they're metal necessarily. Like, no one is. I hear too many songs where it's like, this is really melodic and kind of airy and breathy. Excuse me. Where's the metal?
Yeah.
So
like, where's the kick in the teeth? They are right. Where's the kick in the teeth? Like, you don't always get that with them. So like I said, I don't mind them. They're not my first choice either, though. They're kind of like, if it's on, I don't have a problem with it. I hope I hear other things, but
So if someone says, what kind of metalhead are you? What are the 5 bands that you're going to mention to show them the breadth of what you listen to?
Blind Guardian, Nightwish, Taria, right? Amon Amarth, and actually either Eluvite or what's another one I could use in that category.
So you're pretty European metal.
Yeah, I like the European.
Yeah,
I like the European bass. Yeah, because for me, because I feel like they're like that old school balance of I like the classical background in metal, and I find that metal over here now doesn't always have that. Nightwish could perform in a symphony, and fit perfectly there. Blind Guardian, I'm a book nerd, and they did a song with Wheel of Time. I'm a complete book nerd. I'm in, like, right. I can respect that, right? Eluvite is a Celtic. It has bagpipes and actual metal together, kind of fun. And I also like I'll listen to some of my buddies, like By Your Leave. I'll listen to some like just other and if I'm talking about local Canadian stuff, I like the Shillelaghs, although they're a little bit more punkish. But I mean, there are some pretty fun like stuff here I'll listen to too. But I like
Cancer Bats.
What?
Cancer Bats.
Yeah.
Voivod, I believe they're Canadian.
Voivod's really good. I like them.
Yep.
Yeah, Voivod's really good. I like them a lot. I think yeah, for me, I just like that. I can recognize when I hear, like, it's almost like when I write a story, I can see the references to other stories. With a lot of the European metal bands, I can see the references to some of the stuff they're coming from.
Yeah.
And that's why I dig them, because there's a lot of depth to it, and it kicks your teeth down your throat at the same time. It's beautiful.
Totally get that.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, that's me. I definitely go European. I will listen to just about. I will try anything. I will try anything. It's like, okay, if this works, great. If it doesn't, meh, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I tormented one of my friends, fellow streamer. I go, they're Disturbed's like pop metal. I'm sorry, just that's what I said to her. It's like, I like Disturbed. It's like, yeah, but they covered a Phil Collins song. I'm not saying it was a bad thing, but it's a Phil Collins song, right? Phil Collins is a great musician, but no one's going to confuse him with metal.
Well, yeah, and then they followed it up with Simon and Garfunkel. So, like,
yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I don't mind. Like, hey, it's cool.
No, it's good.
I like pop stuff. I do. It's just I'm not. I don't like my pop with my metal. I like classical music with my metal. Yes, pop with my metal. No.
So there's one song that I think would be called popular now, and it's because it's modern, it's rap. And I'm not even a fan of. My wife is like ridiculously loves this song. But I can't find another song. Neither of us can find another song by them we like. But it's Falling in Reverse, Monster.
Okay.
Popular Monster. Sorry.
Popular Monster. Okay.
And that song is fucking ridiculous. If you've never heard it, I'll play it tonight. It's really fucking good.
Have you heard? Okay, it might be a little too melodic for what you're going into. But have you ever heard of Symphony X?
I've heard of them. Yep.
One of my favorite ones is Kingdom Come. I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. Like I said, I know where I feel in the metal. I tend to lean more towards melodic than screaming. But I will, again, if it's there, every once in a while I go the other way. It's like, you know what? I just need a good.
For me, it's a venting tool.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like the Hulk, where it's like there's constantly anger there. So for me, throwing on metal just means I'm just letting it out.
Yeah.
So for me, like my top 5 bands, I'd be going Lamb of God, Megadeth, Machine Head, fucking Slipknot. All in that area.
Slipknot fits definitely into like the classical background too. So I can't. Yeah, they definitely fit into that. Megadeth's interesting for me because their older stuff is awesome. Their newer stuff, I'm 50.
I get it.
Yeah. Like they're interesting. Like, and don't get me wrong, I think there's some really great. And here's the thing, I think he has some great musicians in the modern stuff. I'm not always sure they're allowed to be themselves, and I kind of get that feel. I kind of get that.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that feeling, and that's why it's like it's just not what I think it could be. I mean, if you're gonna have different bands, and I've learned this in comics, if you're gonna have people collaborate with you, let them bring their own flavor to the formula. Let them add something to it, because you can't do like Metallica, right? You're never gonna replace the bass player, the original bass player. You're just never gonna do it ever. So don't try. Cliff Burton, don't try. Let everybody else that comes in, let them be different. Because if you do that, it'll be a lot of fun, right? But I feel Megadeth falls into that trap in the modern stuff.
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't fight that too hard. There is some good stuff still.
Oh yeah,
but not as much so as originally and early on. So yes, I agree.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Now, so before we continue, I'm going to get my booze, and then we can actually then we'll actually start getting we'll do this properly. I just had to have pizza. I just had to have the pizza. So.
Oh no, I get it. I had to have my food too.
Yeah.
I'll sit and chat with you guys if you guys are around.
Yeah.
My name is Chuck. In case you don't know, Chuck Pineau, Pineau. You can find me on Facebook under that name. You can find me on Twitter under @ChuckyPin. You can find me on Instagram, Chuck Pineau. I have 2 shows. I do Chuck's Raw Reviews on my YouTube channel, and I also have Chuck's Shop Talk, where I talk with creatives, mostly comic people at this point, but I've been moving out, and I try to kind of get to the business side of things and talk shop. And yes, what is that?
That is Gordon Brandy.
Yep.
That's what I'm doing tonight, because honestly, there's something about... Now, don't get me wrong, I would love me some whiskey if I could right now. But if you can't have whiskey, brandy's a pretty good plan B.
Well, and there's some natural sweetness to brandy, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
It's a little easier to do straight.
It's easier to do straight, but also the other thing about it too. This goes back to when I was working at the day job when I was in Calgary. -40 weather. Brandy was a beautiful, beautiful thing before and after.
It'll warm you up good.
All right. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
For what?
Metal.
Oh, for music?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let's see.
See, this reminds me, we would get all messed up, and we would just play music on YouTube over several different devices.
Yes.
And so you would start to get this feel, and people were like, "Oh, you like that? Let's check out this. Let's check out that." So I feel like that's what you and I are doing right now, and I'm very excited. Already, you're making me want to drop the song I have and go grab something else.
Yes.
Actually, I think I'll do that anyways. Fuck it. I had a good one. It was Machine Head's. What are my dogs? Machine Head's "The Darkness Within," which lyrically is an absolutely brilliant song, and I'll probably show it off at some point. So I'm trying to listen too.
I like it. Good metal, combined metal kick in the face. I like that. I like that trade off.
Who is this again?
Eluvite.
Okay.
Yeah. This is called A Rose for Epona.
Yeah, it very much has an otherworldly feel to it.
Yeah, like for me. Okay, I'm gonna pause because it's just that wonderful little pause because of this wonderful thing called copyright. But the thing about them is, I like them because I acknowledge I like my melody. I do like my melodies in my metal, but also I can write to this, right? It's got that otherworldly, ethereal kind of feel to it. She's a good singer, as you can see. She's good at what she does. And like I said, and there's a nice intensity to it. So
I like that. I did like that. That was good. Is it? Am I showing off now, or are we going?
Yeah, whenever you're ready, man.
Okay, so you got me onto that, kind of foreign feeling, and over the last couple of years, I've gotten into this ethnic metal.
Okay.
And so this band, they're called Alien Weaponry.
Okay.
And They're from New Zealand. They're Maori.
Oh, sweet.
Yes. And so this song is called Kai Tangata.
That's awesome.
Let's see if you guys can hear this. It might take a little bit to get in, so
No worries.
here we go. Can you hear that?
I can hear it just a bit, yeah.
I'll move you a little closer. Are you hearing that?
I can hear it. I like that.
Right?
Yeah, it's neat.
So it still has that kind of thrash feel, but
Yeah, but it's also like the sound's unique. Like it reminds me. It actually reminds me, ironically enough. Remember how we did a video game music song, like from the same composer. The previous game has a similar sound to that.
okay.
Yeah, it's a similar sound to that. It's like, okay, it hits me that way. No, that's cool. That's really, really cool.
I think they start singing in a minute, and you can hear the chants. Which you can't sing along with that,
No.
but it's so enjoyable. Like I'm in the car and I'm ready to fucking spear some motherfuckers. Like it's like
This is awesome. No, it's just one of those wild. It's one of those wild things. Like yeah, you're going for. Yeah, me and you do go for different goals in our metal, but I can definitely respect where you're coming from, right? Right. I tend to.
Are you grabbing some more?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I love it. Here, I'll stop.
Yeah. So just take a minute here. Right to this. That's Taria.
Okay.
In the raw.
All right.
Let's see. Which one do I want to give you here? Again. So this
Pepe.
This again. So give me a sec here. Yes, I still do use CDs, ladies and gentlemen. I'm old. Shut up. This
is the free tool that makes designing.
No worries. No worries, man. Let me let this thing load up here. Let's go with. Can you hear that?
I can. That's very power metal. Yeah.
Wait a second here. Yeah, I like it's still got the symphony, but like I said, I like my symphony with a little kick to it. I think that's the one common denominator on that. This is Taria. I want to say I hope I got to say her name right. Tarunian, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Solid,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I would not kick you out of my car if you were listening to that.
Yeah.
That's something. If you were like, hey, I want to show you something, we're in the car, I'd be like, okay, yeah, we can listen to the whole song. Like, I'm good with that. I'm not gonna try to stop you partway through. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, like I told you, I gotta keep my metal credit up, man. I'm not gonna bring give you shit to listen to.
I feel you. You. So, okay, then I'm bouncing it back over here. This is an Indian metal band, and I mean Indian. Like I believe they might be Punjabi. I'm not 100% sure, The band is called Bloodywood. Yeah,
That's awesome.
the song is called Ari Ari. Right?
It's got that classic Indian chant.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
Right here, we got a dude rapping.
God.
But then, like, they have this old indie dude who comes in and just fucking rips it. Coming up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
He makes the third look really soft.
he does. He does. He does. He really does.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right.
But yeah, that's kind of the stuff I've been getting into. Is it's like,
Yeah.
I think what I appreciate about it so much is that a lot of these bands are connecting to a lot of the bands that I like, such as, you know, you can hear some of that Slipknot and the Metallicas and all that kind of connections to what they're doing, and yet they're bringing their own instruments, their own cultural feel to it.
All
And
right.
so it takes it to another level. I'm just like, oh shit, I love what you're doing.
Well, all right. So we got to do a classic metal debate. Which Metallica album is the best one? Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, or Master of Puppets?
Cool. I actually find this really easy. It's Master.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, Master is them getting to a point in musicianship, in writing, in all of that, where they had gotten kind of produced enough and tight enough to be considered a high tier metal band without being overproduced.
Mhm.
And of course, in the follow up albums, they became overproduced and it became a little too much in some regards. Even though I still do like, I mean, and Justice for All is a solid album if it had some fucking bass. But dude, that was such a cock move to pull all the bass out of that. So fucking dumb.
Oh.
But yeah, it's definitely Master of Puppets. And you know what? After the millions of times I've listened to Musters, Master of Puppets isn't even my favorite song on that album anymore.
No, it's not.
Like, there's so many better songs.
So here, I actually agree with you. Here's why. There's not a bad song on Master. Not one. They're
Right?
all good. They're all awesome.
Nothing gets skipped. You know what? I forget about that too. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's
Nothing gets skipped on that album.
No, like, so for me, Metallica, there's two albums. There's two albums that are completely Master's the better one, but I do like the Black Album. The Black Album is pretty close to it. There's nothing that you really skip. It's softer, but
Mhm.
I find that, look, Nothing Else Matters is a really strong song. It's one of the better things they
Yeah.
ever do, right? But and wherever I mean, we're almost like for the Black is really good, but
Dude.
Orion, Battery, Damage Inc., Sanitarium, like those
Right?
songs they're not even their headline songs. Well, Battery might be one of them, but none
Battery,
of the
yeah.
ones I mentioned are headliners. But they're awesome. Like they're better. Like those songs are better than their headliners. A lot of the headliners on their new albums.
Well, and what's funny about that album is it's played more on radio now than it was when it came out in 86, 87, like in that era.
Mhm.
Way more.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's the Metallica fans we are, because we like that stuff.
Yes. So, obviously, the grandpa metal, so to speak, was Black Sabbath.
Yes.
But from there, the next two to come out. So a lot of people will say Rolling Stones or Beatles. So for metal, I would say the question becomes, because they had, they still had a similar enough style, and yet they were definitely two different things. So for metal, I would say the question becomes Judas Priest or Iron Maiden.
Maiden.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel the same way.
Maiden. But I will. Here's a band not many people think about with metal that I actually think has a lot to do with it. Misfits. I think they are very underrated, and they're not technically metal, but I don't think metal exists as it is without them.
They should be in the conversation. I think keeping especially hardcore and punk out of the conversation when it comes to metal, you are losing out. I absolutely agree.
Yeah. I don't think too many bands hit that mark, but I like you have to include them. You
No, I mean, Black Flag certainly did a lot of stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those punk bands that really did influence metal in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like that, like especially early metal. Like there wouldn't be early metal without punk. So you gotta give props where props is due. And I know both Megadeth and Metallica especially were influenced by Misfits. Like there's a big Misfits influence there.
Well, that's because oh my gosh, we just mentioned his name, the bassist.
Yes, Cliff Burton.
Yeah, Cliff Burton. Wow, I kept going to Kurt, and I'm like, that's not right.
Oh, it's not Kurt.
Cliff Burton.
I did the same thing.
Is a huge punk fan, or was a huge punk fan.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thing for them is that, and you can hear that a lot on. I mean, even on his own, on like Anesthesia, stuff like that when he's doing his own shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like that's the like Maiden. No, Maiden. It has to be Maiden because about. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like Judas Priest is okay. Black, but yeah, no. If you're gonna give me a choice in the car, it's Maiden.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel that your choice in metal in music affects your creativity and what you create? Does it?
So you're asking me a question. Okay, so I think we'll throw this both ways. I'll throw this back at you, but I think
by all means.
Yeah. I'm an energetic person. I think the one thing that I think everybody's been, as I hopefully been noticing with what I've been doing, I put content out all the time. I'm constantly driven. I constantly keep going. It's almost like, so the stuff I really like usually I think, again, I love the nuances, the little classical stuff. I love the background because as someone that loves both comics and books, I'm a student of like really good stories. I love the really, really good stuff, right? So metal is very like the metal I like tends to be the very same. Like Tarja, big classical influence. Nightwish, big classical influence. Blind Guardian, big classical. Like these guys are world-class musicians that can do anything they want. But they also have this creativity to try new things and have their own voice. And I tend to think like if I'm thinking about myself in terms of what I've produced, right? I'm writing about killer cupcakes. I'm doing parallel universe dragon slaying. I'm writing about a dragon that makes fun of his creator. I go out on a limb all the time. So for me, I feel like I'm the kind of guy that likes I leap. I just leap and I do shit and I let whatever happens. And I feel that's the kind of metal I like. Like, yeah, there's definitely a story background to everything that's done. There's a reason for it it's been well thought of. I think most of the bands I listen to have that, but I also feel like they're all going out on a limb on some form or fashion. The stuff I really, really like. And whether they're just having fun, like they're being fans, whether they're saying something that they really give a damn about, that's me. And I can feel that with the music I listen to, even like the pop stuff I like. Same thing. It's the exact like that personality is there. How about you, my friend?
So I tend to like these more kind of a lot of these guys who aren't overly educated. A lot of what they've learned is from experience, being around, listening, picking things up. That's where I picked mine up. So all too often, people will be like, "Oh, so what's your educational background?" I'm like, "Well, I graduated high school, if that's what you're asking." And they're like, "Yeah, but you're this intelligent editor and stuff. Like, you have a bachelor in what?" And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even go to college. Like, I'm not even at college level dropout. I didn't do any of that. I was never interested in that because I didn't know what I wanted to do at the time. I didn't want to waste my time or my money. So everything I picked up has just been sheerly out of passion. I love it enough that I want to pick it apart and find it out myself. So I often find myself distracted or detracted by overly mathematical and in intellectual music and metal. You know, like the Mastodons, the even like going off a little bit and saying, like, Radioheads and that kind of stuff. And I find a lot of that becomes a lot harder for me to understand because I don't get the math and all that stuff behind it. So I tend to be more of a passionate person, and more of everything is more organic and it's done by feel rather than, ooh, okay, we need to make it this pattern because then this and this will happen. I'm like, no, I feel this because of this. I know that this will become that. So we're kind of doing the same thing, but in completely different ways.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of the bands that I like, they tend to be a little more passionate, a little more I love good lyrics. I'm
Yeah.
a huge, like, I am just a sucker for really good lyrics, especially very passionate lyrics, even intelligent lyrics, like well done, like I don't necessarily want, like, say, Maynard level lyrics where I have to do some fucking research and stuff. I love Tool, but I don't. People are like, dude, if you want to understand this song, you gotta go and you gotta check out this website and fuck off. No, I don't want to do that. I want to listen to it and get it on my own level. I don't want to have to fucking research and do all this other shit. So I want to feel it right there and go, oh, okay. I get this on my own level.
Okay, so I think we just do it in different order. I think that's the difference. We just do it in different order. Mm-hmm. I like thinking about it, and then I like feeling it. You feel it, and then you think about it. Mm-hmm. All right. Either way, it still works.
We get to the same end.
Yes.
And that is a good product. Yeah. We just go about it in different ways. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and honestly, that's actually not a bad thing because we both see things differently as a result as well. And mm-hmm. that's actually a beautiful thing. After all, you are an editor, and although you don't again, you don't have the final say of the final vision, you do have your own voice, and you do have your own creativity. And the fact that you do see things differently is actually beneficial to whoever you're working with.
I like to think that, yeah. And they seem to feel that way too, because I don't get a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, usually I find as an editor, as soon as they've paid for something, you already know, okay, cool, they're willing to listen, because no one wants to pay and then go, nah.
No.
Like, they want to get something out of me, so they're at least going to listen and quite possibly. Does everything get changed? No, certainly not. That just isn't a reality. It's not a thing.
Yeah, no, that's not realistic. But yes, yeah. Your job. Your job is to point out, this is what I think needs to be worked, and this is why. Yeah. They're going to agree with you on some. They're going to disagree with you. Sometimes, I'm sure there are fights every once in a while. But they're not like terrible fights. They're more like, I think like they like that you found the flaw. They just don't necessarily like your solution because it doesn't work yet. And that's it. And those are great problems to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. Yeah, and I don't have an issue. It's very rare, but I think as any kind of creative, you have to have that hill that you're willing to die on.
Yeah.
And it's for the most part, it doesn't come up, but there's been a couple times where I'm like, look, man, this thing here, it's fundamental. If you can't see that that's an issue, then we're not working on the same thing here, man. We're not seeing, our vision is not shared at all.
Yo,
And very, very, usually it's my anxiety where I'm like, this is the hill. And they're like, yeah, I get that. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. I just worked myself up for nothing.
yeah, no, it happened, but you care. But that's the thing. Like, you care about what you're doing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And because you care, you worry about that stuff because it's like, well, yeah, you're getting paid to do it. But if you're involved in the project, it's your heart and soul on the line too. And anything that comes out from any of the creatives you work with, that's your baby too.
I want to be excited to talk about it when it comes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally feel you.
Yeah. Otherwise, like, why? Like, what are you doing? Like, this year is interesting for me because I figured out what my niche, which is this. This is my niche with what I do. I'm good at this. I know I'm good at this. So my challenge is now it's like, okay, how can I turn this into money, right?
Yeah.
And that's my challenge. I have some ideas, and we'll see how they work for the rest of the year. But I mean, I'm thinking it's like, but again, I want to be passionate about anybody that comes on the show. I don't necessarily, I don't know everything everybody's doing when they come on the show, but I want to come out of it feeling like, oh my God, this person's awesome, right? Because that's why I do what I do. I don't want to.
You know what got me about you is you did a top 10 of your favorite interviews. And it's not because I was on that top 10, though thank you, I was very proud to be on that list.
Yes.
But it was that you were so proud of what you had done that you were like, no, I need you guys to go back and look at these interviews because if you miss them, you're stupid. And these were great moments. And what's terrific is that what you and I are doing right now, we're dancing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You could be the best fucking interview in the world. And I could be the best guest. But if we don't have a thing going on, we're going to be stepping on toes and fucking up our rhythms. And so, it takes both of us giving a shit and being open to the process and having fun with it. And so those great interviews require two things. They require you and me to both be together and excited about what we're doing right here.
Yeah, exactly. No, and that's it. Like, I love what I do. Like, I mean, so I don't know if you watched the interview I did with Hank earlier this week.
I didn't. No, sorry.
I'm really proud of that particular interview. That was amazing, right? I was like, this is why I do this stuff, right? I love meeting somebody that's really, like, she was incredibly passionate about everything she's done. And it was like, okay, you're awesome. I wish I had you longer, but you're awesome. And that's what you want to feel like as someone interviewing, right? You don't want to find someone that's going to be like, oh God, this is going to be hard to stay awake for. Yeah.
I've had I've been on both sides.
Yeah.
I had an interview recently, and actually, so I'm not trying to call anyone out. The guest was great. The information was there, but they had really shitty Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And so I wasn't able to hear, we weren't able to get everything out of them, and that sucked.
Oh, yeah.
So in my head, at some point, I have to have them back on to redo that because we're both better than that interview.
Oh no! There's
so it's not an attack on them. They're not in their normal location and all that kind of stuff. And I won't mention names because again, I like the person and I know that they have a lot of great intellectual understandings of what they do. That I just wish all of that could have come out on the interview and just it didn't.
Yeah, no, and also sometimes I see, my favorite thing about interviews is my favorite thing when I know I broke the ice. Like when I know I've actually cracked the ice, you can feel it. Like it's almost like a shift in the conversation, and you're like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And some of those are my favorite interviews because it's like
when you mentioned your favorite metal band.
Yeah.
We'd already done one interview before, but I feel like that was a whole other level. You mentioned that, I was like, oh shit, okay, cool, yeah, that's all right.
Well, actually, there's two things: that and London, Ontario. The fact that we actually
Oh,
that
yes,
detail about that, you were like, I was there. I could actually, I could literally see it. Like you experienced, if not that exact story there, something like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
it felt like we both could have been there. Like you and I have never met,
yes.
but we could have, because that was a place we were both. That was something that we both shared in common so deeply that
Yes.
yes, there was that connection was created, despite the fact that we have never met.
Yeah, not face to face. Although I do hope to rectify that. If not this year, next year.
Fuck yeah.
I do get the feeling like this is the only COVID part of the conversation we're going to have. I do think the lockdowns come to an end this year, one way or the other. That's my belief.
Mhm.
I'm not sure when, but I do think
Yeah.
they come to an end this year. I don't see them lasting another year.
I will say that I am not someone, I am not a gambler. I
Yeah,
won't just throw money out there. If I'm doing something, it's because um, I've hedged my bets. You know what I mean? Like I really believe strongly that's going to happen, so I'm willing to bet on it. But
yeah,
I'm not just. I won't. If someone's like, "Hey, bet you $5 if this becomes a heads instead of a tails," and I'm like, "No, I won't bet on that.
no,
It's 50-50. There's nothing fun in that. I need to feel like I have some kind of edge."
yeah,
And so I got a table. I have a table for Dallas Fan Expo in September
yeah.
because I really believe that at that point we'll at least have been able to find a safe way to do this.
Yeah, no, well, I also just think just the reality is coming to a head that we can't maintain this. I get to
Oh yeah.
no, we've come to the point I think where I'm working outside and the fact that it's becoming a lot more open and vocal that everybody's getting tired of this shit. I just see a concession of getting out of the extreme and at least looking at let's look at some like moderate terms, like maybe protect the really vulnerable population somehow, some way.
Hmm.
Let's figure that out because I I think everybody goes nuts. I think that's
Yeah.
if they, either that or I think it's either going to be people throwing the towel or people go nuts, and I'm not sure which way it's going to go, but I think we've come to that. Hey,
So Lead Pup, which they're one of they're the guys behind a bunch of the biggest festival or cons across North America. But and I believe they do both C2E2 and New York City Comic Con. And basically, what they've said is moving forward from here on out, there will be a virtual level to their shows,
sure.
so that regardless of whether you can be there physically or not, you can still become a part of it. And I think that that is one of the best lessons that we're learning from this is, hey, there's a way to continue to do business in a way that allows people that being there or not doesn't matter.
I actually so we did I did two shows last year. I'm doing one more for sure in the springtime LitCon. But I did 101 Tales and I did One Words Collide in Calgary, right?
Okay.
Um, God, I really want to meet the people at 101 Tales in person. They were all amazing,
Right?
awesome. They were all amazing.
Yeah.
But Elsa Garza, my park. I definitely want to meet you two at some point. I think the person I became the biggest fan of, although is and I'm going to work with her sometime this year is Anvu. I think she's awesome.
Yeah.
I think she's fucking awesome. And
I didn't get to know her as much as I got to know Mog Park,
Mog's
whom
amazing.
absolutely love, and because we're both fantasy fans, I'm getting a cover from her at some point. Like I'm getting something.
So this is my idea for my parallel universe dragon slaying. I want a couple of my cover artists from the past too because I love Florence Chan, look, and Kenzie Carr are amazing. But I also want some new people. So On's gonna be the first. So what I want to do is someone I've never worked with before on the odd number books, and someone I've worked with before on the even number books. And I want all and I right. So because I think that's a fun thing, and it's about a badass woman killing dragons across different parallel universes. So I can do different settings. So the people I want to work with is On, Mog. Kaylin Smith is somebody I really want to do something with. I think she's incredible. Also, one of the nicest people I've ever met.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'm saying my dream list right now, but Mog, On, and Kaylin are the three. And then two I have worked with before, Florence Chan, who I owe her, I think. She taught me a lot about how to be a professional. And that, because she is so professional, it's just, when you meet somebody that forces you to up your game because they're that, and not only that, she's incredibly talented too. I honestly think she doesn't get enough credit. But also, I really enjoyed Kenzie. Like I got to work with Kenzie Carr for my Alice stuff, so I gotta get to work with her. I might get to work with her a little bit with my second Alice book this year too. But I think she'd do I think she'd have fun with that. So it'd be like, you know what, odd one, odd person, someone brand new. On's gonna be first. I realized she was a Pulp fan. It's like, okay, I got you. I got something for you. But yeah, I'd like to do Florence, and then maybe I do Kaylin. Like I have some crazy ideas for different stuff, and
so I have a couple of people that I think you would work very well with, and you would have some fun with.
Okay.
I think that you would have fun. Do you know Angela Odling?
I don't know her. No.
Oh, dude, go check out her stuff. Very beautiful. She has this fun, gorgeous, just honestly, it's just delightfully weird.
Okay.
And she's just so, dude, I honestly believe you guys would hit it off and work so well together. I think you would have so much fun. Another one I think you would work very well with is Katrina Kunzman.
That rings a bell, but I don't know if I know her.
She's another one to check out. I love her work, and I think that you guys would work very well. Again, you have this artistry over the weird that I don't have, and I appreciate. And so it's like there's all these artists who I would love to work with, but I'm like, seriously, I'm not gonna get the best out of you. So I almost don't want to work with them because I don't think that I'm going to give them what will really make them shine.
So I'm going to give you a challenge then.
No.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a challenge.
Okay.
You need to work with one of them, and here's why. Because it's going to force you out of your comfort zone.
You're right. No, I knew as soon as you said it. You're right.
Yeah. Just one. Now, it might not work. Now, you might, you know what? I will even completely concede. It may not be the very best you two can do. But I think it's one of those situations where working together will make you both better for everything else you do.
Yeah.
Right. It'll bridge a gap. You'll learn stuff that, again, and you might surprise yourself. It might be the best thing you've ever done. It does happen. It does happen. There are people I never thought I'd work with that'd be like, wow, we get along. And there were people I thought we'd be great.
And it just didn't happen.
It was terrible. And it was like, and I don't know why. Well, I do know why somewhat. Some of it's on me. Some of it is totally on me. But, no, you got to be honest, right? Like, look, I learned a long time ago that I love to be the hero of the story, but the truth of the matter is sometimes I'm the villain. And you gotta own that fact that your shit stinks sometimes. That's
Yeah, I totally feel you there. And you know what? I love that you challenged me on that because I love a good challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I really love. So one of my favorite challenges ever was, and it's, dude, this is a mean challenge. I have a buddy of mine who I've met at a bunch of cons, and he's a local dude, and he does a lot of work for Antarctic Press.
Okay.
And so and this is one of my favorite stories. I'm sorry, folks out there, if you've heard this one before. I love telling it. So go get yourself a drink like we have.
Yes.
And just
Any more
let me tell my stupid fucking old man story. So I have never hidden from the fact that I want to be published by some big publishers. I want that chance. And so he said, "Man, you want to do something for Antarctic Press because they've been bugging me. They want me to do something."
Okay.
And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I would love to do that. Let's do it." And he's like, "Okay, well, we could do this or that." He gave me a couple ideas, and I was like, "Well, but what do they want? Like, why don't you just contact them and say, what the fuck do you guys want? We'll do it." And I said, "Whatever it is, I'm open." He's like, "All right." He calls me back 1 hour later. And he says, "Okay, so I got some good news and some bad news." I'm like, "All right, cool. What's up?" Now, this is important. He called me after dinner on a Thursday.
Okay.
Important details. After dinner on a Thursday, so like 6 or 7. He contacts me and he says, "Okay, so they have this Planet Comics anthology. They want a 4 or 5 page. They want like a 4 or 5 page story. I think it was 5 pages. 5-page story. They want it for their thing and it's got to be sci-fi." I'm like, "Cool. I can do sci-fi. Yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. I'm down." He goes, "The problem is they need it by Monday."
Oh fuck.
And I'm like, "Do you mean the script?" And he was like, "No, they need the whole thing. Do you think you can do that?" And I was like, "Dude, you're the artist. You're the one doing the real work." He's like, "Well, what do you think you can do?" I was like, "Oh, dude, I'll just fucking stay up all night and I'll make sure that you wake up with a script." And he was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, fuck this. Yeah, I will do that. If you're in." He's like, "Oh yeah, if you do that, we can make this happen." And I was like, "All right, cool. Yeah, I can do that." I said, "What about are you gonna color it?" And he's like, "No, we're gonna have to go black and white. We don't have time for it." I'm like, "Okay, cool. What about lettering?" He's like, "Yeah, do you know any letterers? Because I don't letter." And I was like, "Okay, you know what, man? We don't have time anyways, so fuck it. I'm gonna write a 5-page black and white science fiction silent piece." And he was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yep, and I'm gonna do it tonight." He was like, "Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, let's do it." So I'm like, "What the fuck am I gonna do? What do you like?" He's like, "I want weird creatures." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I can do weird creatures. All right, fine." And I was like, I'm trying to get my head around things, and I was like, "Screw it. All right, let's see what the fuck comes out of this." And then I fucking sit down and just boom, go into it. And 3:16 in the morning, I send him a message and I go, "Dude, you got it. You're good. There's a 5-page script in your inbox. And at this moment in time, I'm happy with it." And he was like, "All right, cool." He checked it out and he was like, "I'm still wide awake. I'll get started on that and we'll make it happen." He got it done by Monday. And I would love to this is kind of the second part to my story. Because again, you're challenging yourself, but that does not mean that it's going to come out well.
Mm-hmm.
So, we did that, and then it got sent away, and I know, buddy. I didn't hear anything about it for months and months and months and months. And then finally, I was like, I'm like, "Dude, what's up?" And he's like, "I don't know. They haven't sent it out yet, so we'll figure it out, whatever, And then I was like, "Whatever. They'll contact me. I'm not going to bother them. It's not worth it. And hell, if it never happens, it never happens." Well, back in October, I believe, I'm suddenly tagged by somebody that I don't know on Twitter. And I'm like, "What?" Like, I don't even do Twitter that much. So to be tagged by somebody I don't know is really fucking weird. So I look, and it's Reading with a Flight Ring. I know them. I know of them. That guy is an amazing reviewer. He reviews tons of fucking comics. Just a fuckload. And so he says, I did this review for Planet Comics, which is out in Planet Comics #2, which is out in stores right now. And I'm like, well, wait, what? That book is out? No one told me. I didn't get to like hype anybody or talk about it at all. And you've already read it, and now I'm about to be reviewed. Like I didn't. There was no comfort in this at all. It's just like all of a sudden, like you're being reviewed. This was my first time in Diamond, like all that shit. I didn't know it had come out, so I'm completely taken aback. So this is the review I end up and I saved it because it's the best review I've ever had for anything I've done. Here's what he says. What I absolutely loved about the final story in this issue is that it takes you through the story and gives you a total mindfuck. Also, that this is textless. Everything we see visually has to excel in telling the story. While black and white storytelling does indeed work best for this, it will show any and all flaws. Thankfully, there are no flaws. What we see is beautifully illustrated through the utilization of the line work and various techniques to bring out the attention to detail. This is one team that can continue to work together to create these kinds of stories to put into every issue of the series. It is that good, and this format is ideal for the two of them to be more than incredibly successful.
That's awesome.
Right? That fucking blew me away, and I was just like, dude, I literally did that in 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, it happens.
Like,
so
and that's about getting uncomfortable. And sometimes some of the best shit comes out. So you are totally right. Get uncomfortable. Do something new. It might suck, but you could also find out you're really fucking good at something and you had no idea because you weren't willing to step out of your box.
So I got something I've been holding on to for a while.
Oh, good.
So I'll give you. I'll let you in on this. So this is what happened. I wrote a script for a story about stick figures revolting against their creator for drawing terrible. I did that a long time ago. I gave it to the artist I gave it to. It took him years to come up to send it. He sent me back a story. But it was almost, do you remember there's Silver Surfer the Enslavers? How when he got the art back from the book finally after all those years, the original script was lost. Right? So I decided not only was I going to write a new script to tie the story together perfectly with what was illustrated, I hurt my brain and did it like Dr. Seuss, A-B, the whole way through. It hurt my brain a lot to do it. But again, something I personally believe, Dr. Seuss is in my top 3 all-time graphic novelists. Like, he's my top 3. Jack Kirby is number 2. Actually, probably number 1 to be perfectly honest. Jack Kirby was just a freaking man, right? And probably Will Eisner. So let's do what you gotta do there for a second there. But
I was just telling my kiddo to take care of the dog. That's all.
Yeah, but no, like Eisner, Kirby, Seuss. Those are my top 3. I dare anybody to fight me on that because I think I don't think anyone's gonna argue about 1 and 2. And every time I say Dr. Seuss, people go like this. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the reaction. Like, yeah, I guess he kind of is too, right? Yeah.
Green Eggs and Ham is 50 words, guys. It's 50 words. That's it. And it's all illustrations and it's beautiful and living proof that comics could sell anywhere. So if you add Seuss to the argument, you actually have the appeal of comics. That's the other thing too.
Sorry, I am definitely listening. Now I'm plugging in. All right, cool.
Yeah.
It's almost my kiddo's bedtime, and the dog wants out. You know how it goes.
Yeah, no, dude. This is 2021. So I expect stuff like this. Yeah, it's part of the deal.
Okay. Yeah, you took a drink. I'm taking a drink.
That's right. Well, no, it's like no, man. Like it's one of the things. Like, you try to. I tried illustrating. I tried illustrating for like the first time like a month ago. I sold my first piece. It was $5. I don't care. I sold my first.
Oh yeah. So I missed it tonight because I had this interview, but there's a really cool dude. He's done some covers for me, or a cover for me. Amazing guy. He does mostly sexy work. Steph Wilson. A lot of fun. Great guy. Really animated. And so every Thursday he has a show. And I believe it's at 9 Eastern. And he'll sell his goods for about an hour and a half or so. And then the last half an hour, he does a You Can Draw Too. And so in that, he'll show you a finished picture and he'll say, I drew this. Now we're going to get you to draw it too. And so he'll talk you through every line as he does it. And hopefully you come through with something. So I've only done it once. And I thought, all right, cool. I'm going to try this, see how I do. And this is what I did.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
really
and
good. That's really
that's from his You Can Draw This Too. And that was me just following his instructions. Could I do that on my own? Probably not. But I had a steady enough hand and I listened well enough that I came up with something really cool. And that was me again, just kind of, all right, cool. I'll do something different. I'm not an artist. Let's try it.
So I did. So I have to. So this weekend I'm doing two arts for my family. One's for my grandmother. She calls me my nickname. Her nickname for me is Pookie. So I'm actually taking Pookie the bear, and I'm actually going to draw it for her and give her a picture. All right. Yeah, I'm a softie at heart.
Yeah.
Right. But the other one though is the fun one. So I had this idea that D&D is the theme for the drawing bit for Mod. I'm going to do a Lego Paladin, right? So the moment
I saw you working on that. Yeah.
I'm still working on it. I'm still working, like getting better at that. But I've been trying different paladins. I accidentally learned how to draw a porn stash with the one paladin I actually used because it was just like I didn't expect to learn how to do that, but that's what I did. I'm like the things you discover drawing, right? Right. It's like that's so. What came first, the Lego stash or the porn stash? It's one of those life's big important questions, I think.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure I could research it, but I'd rather just figure it out on my own.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those fun ones, right? I didn't expect it because I took a paladin like with the beard and the stash, and then when I did the shape, I'm like, oh god, that's all it takes. Like you know, it's amazing. So I've been having fun with it the last few days, and I've been putting it in weird spots. Like someone goes, I want a logo, something funny. I go, Josh Pantelleresco, porn stash designer. That's what like just because I did. Like I know how to do it now. So it's just like, oh my god, I can actually do it. I don't. It's like useless skills that are secretly awesome, and that's like one of them, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah. So you learn all kinds of stuff. Like just trying. I think the most important thing I've learned in life is this. It doesn't matter what the final result of the product you're trying now. The fact that you actually do something always somewhere. That is something I've learned and I've treasured in the last, especially in the last year. I've learned that I've almost relearned that dealing with my phobia with drawing. It was a bit of a phobia. It's like, what if I suck? And then and then afterwards, it's like, so what if I suck? Right? You know, big lesson, and I think it's an important one going forward. I think the beautiful thing about this time was, I got to grow, and I'm hoping. Okay, big question for you. What have you've had this opportunity? I mean, you've been a busy man. You've done a lot of great things. I mean, you did a lot of great projects you've been involved in. And by the way, kudos for you with your comic success. I'm really, really happy for you. I do think, dude, if you ever make it to the big two, the two books I want to see you do, Hulk. I want to see you do Hulk. I would love to see you do Hulk. I think you'd have. Look, Immortal Hulk got made. Immortal Hulk showed me that you can do an old school EC horror comic and make it Hulk, and it will work. It will work. You could do that. And if you were to do DC, I would be very curious what you would do with either Constantine. I think you'd have a lot of fun with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you'd have a lot of fun with that one. I would also, I think, if you want to go a little weird, but I think you could pull it off, Doom Patrol. I would love to see you try that.
So I don't know, like everyone's talking about Doom Patrol because the show I've never caught it. I would like to check it out. So I'm interested in that. I feel like you know me very well because Constantine does. It's not one of the ones that I would have picked right away. But then when I'm like, oh wait, he's into magic. He curses all the fucking time. Like this guy's right down my alley. Absolutely. I would have an awful lot of fun. You're right. I would love to do that. And Hulk is not a figure that I would necessarily go to right away. I think I could do a really good job. I would love to play with the Gray Hulk,
Yeah.
Mr. Fix-It. I would love to play with something like that. And I'm a big Wolverine fan. And I feel like anytime you get Wolverine and Hulk in the same place, it's just going to be something special. So I would probably use that as an excuse to bring Wolverine in and even possibly bring him in and it not be a fight. How difficult, how much of a challenge would that be to get those two guys in there and not fight?
Actually, I would love to see them team up. Like an act like that, like an act like something that would actually unite them is, I think, more fun. Right? Yeah. I think it's way more fun at this point. No disrespect to anyone that likes the Wolverine Hulk fights. They are pretty fun.
Oh, totally.
But I would rather see them work together because I think I like that idea actually a lot more because here's the thing about Wolverine. He's unbelievably clever when he's done really well. Mm-hmm. Hulk is too, actually. Mm-hmm. So you have two really smart, clever guys that are maybe coming at things a little differently. You could do some sinister shit with both of them. Like really sinister. No pun intended in Mr. Sinister. Like you could that's not the team you want to see on the other side of you if they're pissed off and they thought.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I would. Yeah. The more I think.
Yeah. I would love to make them. Yeah, I would love to make them security for someone. They would be bouncers for a club or somebody's bodyguard or something. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's have some fun. They would be a pop star's bodyguard crew.
Oh my god.
Right? But it's just a regular fucking pop star who just has stupid money and asks them on. I think that would be a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff you could play with that. Totally. For you, who do I think I would love to see you write? By the way, thank you. That was really sweet of you. I definitely so I'm one of those guys who I want a comics career. So I find all too often you see a lot of people, and I kind of want to slap them a little bit when I hear this. They go, man, one day I'm going to work at Marvel, and I'm shut up. And the reason I'm telling you shut up is because Marvel and DC should not be your ultimate goal. No. Because I've seen far too many people go, yeah, I've worked with Marvel and DC. And you're like, well, now what are you doing? They're doing the same shit I am. And that's not an attack on them. That's just like Marvel and DC don't hold a lot of their talent. A lot of that talent slips back through their fingers and comes back to play in the same sandbox as the rest of us.
Actually, so this is a traditional publishing and comic publishing have this in common, and that's this: they're corporate. And I think people need to understand, like, okay, even though, okay, there are some creators I want to see do books. So my personal dream product, like my dream lineup for people, okay, yeah, you doing Constantine, I want to see that. I just would love to actually fucking see that. I would love to see you do that with. Actually, you and Mog would be hilarious on that book. For even
wow, yeah.
You guys would be awesome. Mog, that's my suggestion. Do Constantine with Chuck. I think you guys would have a blast. Number one. Number two, I want to see Fonda Lee do Ninja Turtles. I think Fonda Lee would do a kick-ass Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I want to see it. I think that's really good. I want to see Colleen Duran. I want to see Colleen Duran do. I want to see Colleen Duran do Superman. That's what I want to see. Like an actual mainstream Superman books. I think Colleen's got an incredible range. She can do whimsy. She can do really dark stuff. She can do dirty stuff, and she's good at all of it. And I would love to see what she'd do, or even like Jack Kirby's Fourth World. I would love to see her do that. That would be amazing. But I'm a comic guy. I love comics. But the thing is, I also know this too. If I like, I'll tell. I do have a dream for. I do have a dream project for DC, and I have a dream project for Marvel. But they're not my end all be all goals if I do comics. My goal to do comics is my goal are actually the same goals I do as a writer for like a writer and podcaster. I have my own brand. Like honestly, I've done a really good job establishing myself as a brand for the last 5 years. You know, most people know me as a podcaster more than a writer. That's fine. I have a brand. People know who I am, what I do, how I do it. I am not above, and that will open doors for me. To, like, okay, podcasting wise, I might get in the HBO. I might get in some of the bigger networks for a while. Great. Guess what? My time will come. My time will go. And that's just the way it is. And it's true with comics. It's true with books. I get into the big five. That's awesome. I got 3 books. I figure at most 3 books, then I'm out. Right? Unless I do exceptionally well. And even then, I still might be out. That's just the reality of the business.
Yeah.
Right. Same with comics. I might have this amazing run of. I'm gonna let actually before we go. What do you think I would love to do with DC and Marvel?
I don't know if you'd love to do it, but I think you would do a magnificently weird Doctor Strange.
I'd have fun with him.
I think you would do and I think you would just go like take it to some really fun, weird places.
Mm-hmm.
DC is so much more difficult because I don't know it as well. But I think you would have some fun with a lot of their weirder stuff, or even just like the bad Flash, like the Rogues Gallery, the Flash Rogues Gallery.
It'd be fun.
I think you would have a lot of fun with that, and because so many of those they're lame, but they still have this potential that people haven't touched upon because they're not looking at it from just that one right direction. And I feel like you would have that direction. You would pick up on one of those guys and you'd be like, look, Captain Cold could be neat. Watch what I do. And I think that you would be the guy to do something like that.
So I'll tell you my dream project for both companies.
Okay.
For Marvel, it's Silver Surfer.
I was going to say Silver Surfer too. Fuck. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, no, I am a huge Silver Surfer fan. I love Silver Surfer. The thing about Surfer is I can take him anywhere. Yeah, the only thing I would do with him, right? The only thing I would do with him, and I know where I can obviously connect with him personally, which is why I know I could do a good job with Surfer. But I wouldn't have him anywhere near Earth. I would have him completely in outer space doing weird shit because it'd be fun. My DC choice, Green Lantern.
I thought of them too. Holy shit, that's funny.
Yeah. No, I am literally one of the biggest Green Lantern fans you'll meet. I love Green Lantern as a concept. And the cool thing about that is I don't necessarily need to do the Earth guys. I could do a science fiction story with the Corps, and I would have a blast with that, right? It would just be, because the cool thing about the Green Lantern concept is it's a bit of everything. It can be a pulpy, grounded Earth story. It can be a cosmic event, and usually the best Green Lantern stories are a bit of both. And I grew up reading Kyle. I think Jon Stewart is so much money on the table that it is mind-boggling to me that DC hasn't looked at him and go, let's cash this in, because there is so much there. It actually stuns me. They've left that on the table like they have.
You know why I think they leave it on the table, and it's not as simple as because he's black.
No, it's not.
I think they left it on the table because our world already has a Jon Stewart, and their fucking corporate minds can't get around the idea that our world can exist with 2 Jon Stewarts.
That's an interesting theory.
That's my theory, is that in their mind there is already a Jon Stewart, and they can't market him enough in an SEO, a traditional SEO fashion, to make him more visible than our former Daily Show host. That's my guess.
Okay, it's interesting because here's my opinion on Jon Stewart. He's the biggest badass of the core. Everything he's overcome, like that is a tough dude. And the cool thing about him is you can throw anything against him, anything, and him going underneath and overcoming is incredible to watch. More so than how Guy is a close second. Guy Gardner is a close second on that.
I just want to see him get punched out by Batman.
No, that's why people like Guy. Like the thing about Guy is you can put him in a like unlike John, Guy you can make humble, and it's fun because he's such a prick that it's fun to watch him get his ass handed to him. But the thing about Guy that's really intriguing and similar to John is they both have dealt with a lot of shit. And the thing is, Guy has a bigger ego. He wants to prove something a lot more than John. John doesn't really want to prove anything. He's just the guy that just deals with. He's just the guy that deals with has dealt with so much loss and tragedy that would have broken people. Like he is the epitome of will overcoming all. So yeah. I think that John is just so much. Hal's boring. I mean, I grew up reading Hal, but out of all the Lanterns, he's boring. Kyle is Percival. I've seen Percival. Peter Parker is a great Percival. And that's the thing about it, right? Kyle is a good one too, but I've seen that. I think Baz and Jessica Cruz have a lot of potential, but if you really, really, really want to pick just one Lantern, where I would go all in on, it's John. It's Jon Stewart. Wow. Yeah, that's because I think that's how much money is on the table with him, not just because of the cartoon, but just how much of a good character he actually is. And that's just my opinion. Right. So
you're a Silver Surfer fan. Did you ever read Silver Surfer Requiem?
Yes.
Dude, that was one of the only comics to ever make me actually openly cry.
So my favorite Surfer stuff is there's three eras I really like of Surfer. I love the graphic novel Silver Surfer stuff, like the Enslaver, all that. First off, it's Stan Lee at his absolute both best and worst in like the best ways.
Yeah.
I love that Stan had that kind of whimsy to make Surfer work. He made Surfer's cool because Stan's like, you know what? I don't care how zenny and out there he sounds. He's fun, and he brings that fun. I enjoyed Jim Starlin's run on him, even though it was very Thanos orientated as well. He got Surfer's angst very well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the other creator I really liked was J.M. DeMatteis' take on Surfer. I thought that was a really interesting take of an alien discovering his soul or rediscovering his soul.
Yeah,
was such an interesting, because Surfer is about the ultimate exploration of who you are. That's who Surfer is at his absolute.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right. That's what he's about. He is a wanderer, and I get that personally because I'm like, dude, I start last year at this time I was in Vancouver. I'm in Windsor, Ontario right now. You want to make a wager? I'm going to stay in Windsor by the time the year's up because I don't know right now. The answer is probably no. Right. I'm a wanderer, and I get what I know what I'm looking for, and I can see it with that character. He's looking for some of the same things. Not exactly, but there's enough there that I could definitely do something with him.
It's funny that you bring that up, and I'm wondering if I'm just talking from my own experiences, but I find that in the United States, you hear an awful lot about people moving across states, I was born here, but I ended up here, blah, blah, blah. And you hear that an awful lot. But I find in Canada, that does not happen very much. You were born in Ontario, you're going to fucking die in Ontario. And a lot. If anything, one thing I did see is you're born in Ontario, then at some point you go, I got to get away from this. You go out west, you spend some time there, and then you go, yeah, no, I got to be with family again. And you go back to Ontario, and then you're done. I saw a lot of that, but I didn't see a lot of the people moving from province to province to province. I didn't see that a lot. Do you see that a lot, or do you think
No,
you're abnormal?
I'm unique.
Yeah,
I'm unique. I have,
that's how I felt too.
yeah, no, I'm unique because it's my dad. My dad was very much had a lot of wanderlust in him too. So I know I get some of that from him. But it's also, I think, just my family. Like one of my uncles, he literally spent his whole life traveling the world as a photographer, taking pictures. I've had my grandmother came from Malta to the United States, so I have a family that generally has, and that's just my dad's side. My mom's side, both my grandparents are from Germany, and they came to Canada after World War II. So travel's I think, a big part of my background, and so and again, and because I've moved around so much, I don't look at a traditional home or family or any of that stuff the same way.
Yeah.
I'd like some of that, but not necessarily the way a lot of other people look
In
at
the traditional sense, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that just I'm not built that way. I just am not. And um it's funny because again, I'm working at something I just worked at in when I was in Vancouver, Calgary was there, and they're like, you could have stayed with the company if you'd wanted to. It's like, yeah, but I didn't want to. It's like, it's not like, why are you here? It's like, it's about the money. It's like, you don't even have a car. It's like, yeah, but I've traveled more than you. Like in my head, it's like, I've seen way more of this life than you have without a freaking car. I don't care, right? And that's not going to stop me from going elsewhere one way or the other. I will, even if I have to fucking walk, I don't care. I'm going to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Right. That's just me. I'm not built. I'm wired that way. And so when I look at a character like Surfer, it's like he's hard to relate to because he has the same thing. He has no home, no traditional home. So a lot of people don't get it. It's like, what's that like? It's like, well, that thing a lot of people think they can go back to isn't really there. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to find, again, you're always kind of that fish out of water. But the advantage is you see a lot of things other people don't because you've been around so many different scenarios. You can see when things are repeating themselves in a very unique way. And it's like you just see the patterns a lot more. And that's a blessing and a curse. It's hard to settle once you see it. Like once you see it, it's super hard to settle.
So, how many provinces have you lived in?
I've lived in 3 provinces, 2 states. I've traveled most of Canada, some of the United States as well.
You lived in 2 states. What 2 states?
Arizona and Michigan.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. That's Arizona. That's a travel. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you down to Arizona?
Initially, my dad. I stayed because I got the opportunity to work for one of my heroes. It went south, but it was, I needed Arizona. It
was a learning experience.
Oh, it was a great one. It was hard. It made me. I don't break easy anymore, and I don't need very much anymore because I know what I'm made of. And again, I see things very uniquely as a result of those experiences. I'm very much a minimalist. I'm literally right now. It's interesting. A lot of people are inspired by me. I'm literally the man with nothing, and that sounds really like almost like a terrible thing. It's not. I'm free to do whatever I choose.
Yeah,
that's a very powerful thing. I don't think people realize how powerful that really is. It just nothing stops me. That's my strength. That's also my weakness, and I'm well aware of that as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely it does. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and as someone so I haven't traveled near as much as you have, but having that disconnect, having moved from my home where I lived for 32 years and then coming down here, that disconnection definitely happened, and I feel like, could I live the rest of my life here? I could. Do I have to? No, I don't have to.
Yeah.
I could certainly move on, and it wouldn't bother me. And especially now that I'm in the comics world, where it's like no matter where I go, almost my business, what I do, it's almost unaffected. It's like, oh, I can't go to Texas Comic Cons anymore. Cool, no problem. Where am I now? I'll go to shows there. Like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no,
So yeah,
no, I totally get that. Like for me, like I've actually had this thought. I'm not sure if I'm serious about this yet. I mean, I'm the next 3 months are interesting. I'm going to see how this grows. It has grown significantly since I've started doing these on a regular basis, but I want to see where this grows. I have a date in my head, and by that date, I'm going to see where things are at. And depending on where things are at, I flip a switch, and that's literally like in my head. It's like, okay, I will never stop doing what I'm doing, but I'm like, okay, so I have three options. I can go back to school for broadcasting, although I don't know if that's quite the right thing for me because at this point, I'm sure there's lots I could learn, but it almost feels like a step backwards for me, right?
I kind of feel the same way, to be honest. Yeah,
Yeah, it feels like a step backwards for me. I don't think that's the right choice for me.
it would be the same for me because I've thought about going back to school and getting my bachelor in my bachelor of fine arts, like or get a bachelor for English, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm already doing this without it.
Yeah.
Would taking that time really get me any further ahead?
Yeah, there's that. I mean, there's that option in my head. Another option, and then this has occurred to me. It's just like, well, I don't need to be in the country, as in I don't need to be in either North America. I don't. I could literally go anywhere I want. Now I'd have to. Now that might require me to go, let's say, do something like a trade for a year or so, right? But I could do that, and I wouldn't care. And then once that's done, I could go, what seems interesting, and go, because I truly don't I don't have any. There's nothing keeping me here. I mean, my family is in Windsor, but with all due respect to them, this is their home. I'm being honest here. I don't want this to be my home. I don't mind this city. I don't hate this city, but I don't want it to be my home. I would right, and that's it. And I've made that decision already. So for me, it's just like, okay, now what do I do? Where do I go? Anywhere I want.
Are there any places you have been where you're like, I could go back there and stay there?
No.
No, really.
Calgary's the closest. Calgary's
okay.
The closest. I don't. Maybe down the road, but not right now. It feels like whatever's going on there, I don't need to be a part of it. Kelowna is interesting, right?
Kelowna, yeah, BC.
Yeah. Kelowna's. I don't want to live in Vancouver again. I've already kind of made that decision. I don't want to live there. Visiting's another story. I love visiting that city, but living there, no, I don't want to do that. The other consideration would be to go like closer to Toronto, but I'm not sure that's right for me either. Like, I'm at that weird point where it's just like, the next 2 months is me really going all in on this, and when it's over, making the decision about what I really want to do. Because at this point in my life, I'm in like the weirdest of I don't give a shit itis.
I find so I mean we don't know each other that well.
Yeah.
But what I don't get is I don't understand why you're choosing to live in cities. I know that you don't drive. So, but I don't understand, especially in Ontario.
No, well, actually, okay, right this minute was just a choice of this is where my family was, and during this apocalypse, I want to be near my family.
Okay.
That's why I'm here right now. As far as Ontario goes, we're not doing like your story from last time. We're not doing that. But as far as so for me, if I were to stay in Ontario, if you're talking about small cities, Stratford's intriguing. I think Stratford's
okay.
Right. I like Grand Bend, but I don't know. Again, same thing. I don't know. I don't feel it's a good place to be for a short time, but I don't know if it'd be there for a long time. If I were to go north, I'm not sure. I don't feel there's anything there for me. Right.
Well, what are you looking for?
I'm not sure. That's the thing. But that's where I'm at. Right. I'm at a very interesting point where I'm approaching the second half of my life, right?
Mhm.
Well, and the only thing I know for sure is I want to do things I love with people I love, but I feel like I'm still exploring that somewhat in full, and that's kind of where I'm at right now.
So you know what I think's funny
Mm.
is you're talking about, and again, this is just from my point of view,
Sure.
but you're talking about doing the things you want with the people you want. But what I'm realizing while talking to you is, motherfucker, you're already doing it. It doesn't fucking matter where you are. You're
Yeah.
doing the internet is allowing you to do that.
Oh,
Where
absolutely.
you are on the earth
No.
doesn't fucking matter.
Oh,
You could be in the middle of the jungles of Paraguay, and as long as you had internet access, you would still be doing what you wanted, and you'd
yeah,
still be like,
absolutely. No, you got me dead to rights there. No,
I
no,
think that's what it is, man.
no. You got me dead. You got me dead to rights. Like that's why, like I said, it took me 6 months for me to figure out what's my niche, what's my fucking niche, and it's like 6 months later, it was like I'm an idiot. Like I'm a complete like freaking idiot. And that's just me going like that's just me being real. But I also for me this there are things like okay for me honestly, they're in terms of relationships, in terms of like I want to explore those options a little bit more too, and see what kind of things kind of play out. Um, and that's part of it too. So for me it's like it's as far as this goes, I already know. Like I think ultimately what I would want to do, and I think this is where I'm going next. I'm just gonna get a fucking car and do this in my car. Go meet people, hear the story. That's what I'm going to do next. I already know like that is and whatever that missing piece is I'm looking for. I think will find me somewhere along the way. That's what I think. That's where I think I'm going.
You know,
Um,
you know what I think your problem is?
hmm,
You're thinking too small.
yes.
You know why? You said car, but what you really meant to say was RV.
Yes.
That's what you meant to say. You need to get like an RV and just go, where am I going now? This sounds like it would be neat. Oh, there's a convention here. Cool. I'm going to get me a fucking guest pass there. I'm going to go do a couple panels and I'm going to go hang out with some of my friends there. And I'm going to see what that looks like for a little while. And then when I get bored of there, it's like, where's the next show? Let's move on. Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I see your life.
Yeah. No. That is like yeah. I don't really. Yeah. I just gotta pony up and get license and car again. Just do it. But no. That I know. I already know it's going to be car, Mystery Machine van, or like I know that's where it's ultimately going to go.
The Mystery Machine van is so you.
Yes.
I'm just imagining you pulling over, you plugging your van in somewhere, and just fucking hopping in the back because the back of the Mystery Machine is basically just a fucking mattress and just a bunch of other stuff. And you're just like, this is perfect. You got your shelves in there with all your knickknacks and shit, all drilled down, like screwed onto shelves and stuff. You've got a little setup there so you can just like sit up, put something on your lap, and start and hit the internet, and just you've got everything set up behind you. I can imagine that. I can totally see that.
So like that is totally me. Like I don't need much. Like I
Yeah.
really don't. Like that's who I am. I don't want a house. I just don't. I look at them. I'm thinking like if I had kids, maybe like I could definitely like that I could see, but I don't have kids right now. So why would I want?
Yeah. See, Wendy and I have gotten to the point where we can imagine at least part of our lives, like part of each year, just going out on the road and hitting a bunch of shows, having a good time, and then coming back down and having time with family and all that kind of stuff, and going all across the continent.
I feel with you would need that downtime still, but but you probably would downgrade your house. Something a lot smaller, something easier to manage. Like because again, you don't want that work. The last thing you want to do when you are on the road for a long time and you just need to unwind and recharge is come back to do a whole bunch of fucking work, right? You just don't want that. But I like that's where I already know this. Like for me, like I've already kind of made the decisions. Like yeah, all I want to do for the rest of my life is just is do what I've been doing, except go figure out how to do this abroad and just keep just telling stories and also just meeting cool people to tell stories with.
I feel you, man.
Yeah, I think so. I think you know what we should do. This is how we should close this. One more song each, a drink, right? A drink, but this time you go first.
For songs, okay.
Yeah, you go first, and then I'll do this, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up.
So
I think you got me pegged, sir. I think you actually got me pegged.
I'm trying here. You know, fuck it. I'm just gonna. I had a page open, and it was so hard to try to. Fuck it. All right, cool. I'm trying to think of a good song to end on for me. Is that what you want, Wendy? Wendy wants me to show you Popular Monster.
Okay, sure.
I will do that.
Go for it.
So, yeah, there it is right away. So, yeah, again, not a fan of this, but I'm going to go through the lyrics with you.
Okay, sure.
Because they're so cathartic. So let's. I wake up every morning with my head up in a daze. I'm not sure if I should say this. Fuck, I'll say it anyway. Everybody tries to tell me that I'm going through a phase. I don't know if it's a phase. I just want to feel okay. I battle with depression, but the question still remains, is this post-traumatic stressing or am I suppressing rage? And my doctor tries to tell me that I'm going through a phase. Yeah, it's not a fucking phase. I just want to feel okay. Now I'm going to let you kind of listen to the song a little bit. This is where it gets to that kind of poppy part.
Yeah, but it's this. He's in a cycle. And
yes.
Pop, the one thing about pop music is it's very, very cycly. And right. So it works for this because it's particular because depression for a lot of people is like I'm down for the day and then I get over it. You know, whatever I'm dealing with, whatever I'm struggling with, whatever
I think I'm going nowhere like a rat trapped in a maze. Every wall that I knock down is just a wall that I replace. I'm in a race against myself.
Yeah.
I try to keep a steady pace.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Now, he's back into that same kind of thing. I'm going to move us forward a little bit because he's got that. We're about to hit it again, and then he's going to hit the part that just fucking blows it for me. So now here we are. We're back into the chorus, and when this chorus is done, we're gonna hit that breakdown, and I love a good breakdown. And this is where he just fucking snaps. Right here. I love that line. He says, I'm going to go back to it just because I love hearing the line. I can turn it down to do that. We're sick and tired of wondering, praying to a God that we don't believe. Let's go back to it. Praying to a God that you don't believe. We're searching for the truth and the lost and the found. So the question I ask is, where the fuck is your God now? And I mean, it's such a powerful song. And this is what I love about metal when it's at its best. It's this articulate passion. It's these people who are going through these really fucked up moments, and they're going to sit there and they're going to explain to you, I am fucked up. This is what I'm dealing with. And and it's that passion. And again, it's articulate. They're usually able to explain it very well. And I hate hearing about these. So often when people are talking about metalheads, it's just a bunch of fucking meathead idiots. And I'm like, that's actually not metal. Like that's a very small, thin um, uh, layer of what metal is. And really, to me, what that is that's a bunch of dudes from the 80s who were into fucking Kicks and Poison and Rat and shit. And they just wanted to take their girl and fuck around and break shit for no reason. I'm like, yeah, that's not modern metal. And at its roots, that's not metal either.
No.
There's a passion and an intelligence and often a rage in metal that can't be easily spoken
So
or expressed.
so I remember. So this is going to sound off topic for a minute. So you're going to have to forgive me for the long story here. But
No, I like that. Bring it in. Yeah, let's do it.
there's two albums I liked when I was in my early 30s. I still enjoy them. They're actually and they're two complete. They almost are two complete. They're two completely different genres. One's pop. It's an Avril Lavigne's "Goodbye Lullaby." And,
Okay.
And a Recovery from Eminem. And I realized like they actually here's what they had in common. I realized this after like why both appealed to me because they're almost they were especially me at the time. They're not quite me now, but there's still a little bit of that in me now. When you turn 30, when you get into your 30s and you're a little bit more comfortable in your shit, you realize you're still very pissed off at the world because now you really understand why the world is a shitty place. Why the world, right? Why the world is a shitty place. The one thing about the last year, unfortunately, is I was reminded to myself why the world is such a shitty place sometimes. Right? I never want to see that kind of fighting with people I really like again because I was dumb on so many levels. But that anger at the world, being pissed off that this was the hand I was dealt, that life was this fucking unfair, that I don't want to care anymore, but I do. That's Avril. That was Avril in that album. That was Eminem in Recovery. That was what I mean. Recovery was him coming to terms with the fact that the world was fucked up and he was fucked up. And those are and I know that seems like a really odd two choices, but when you look at what metal, to me, what metal ultimately is you talk about the catharsis of metal. It's coming to grips with what you're angry about or what you're passionate about at the very least. Being very honest and raw about it in a way that people connect to. And I know it's odd that I picked those two albums in particular. Yeah, right. But those two albums exemplified that what you're talking about, that articulating that part of you that's like, I'm in pain and I'm pissed off.
Yep.
And yet, in spite of all that shit, I care.
Yeah. And it's funny because it reminds me that truly good art can still be uncomfortable. And often it can come from a very uncomfortable place. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I love about metal is that there is this uncomfortability about it. And yet I'm comfortable in there because I know that that's how I'm going to feel. I know there's this one lyric I come back to every time. Killswitch Engage. They have a song called The Rose of Sharon.
Yes, I know that song.
It's a fucking beautiful song. But the thing is, if you guys listen to that song, it is so fucking heavy. And a lot of times you can't necessarily understand what he's singing. But in fact, it's the most beautiful goodbye song that anyone has probably ever written. And it's a song that, in my heart at least, I've told people often, I said, when I died, I would like 2 songs played at my funeral. I want Megadeth's A Tout Le Monde played at my funeral.
Okay.
Because that is me saying to the world, in there he says, A tout le monde, à tous mes amis, je vous aime, je dois partir. Which means, to all the world, to all my friends, I love you all, and now I'm gone. And so that is my message to all of you, is this is how I feel. I've moved on. It's okay now. Don't worry about it. My pain's done. Enjoy where you're at. It's all right. But Rose of Sharon is a song that I want played at my funeral, but I want someone to want to play it at my funeral. And that's because Rose of Sharon is a song, it's a person talking about someone they have lost and they love in such a deep manner. And the line that always gets me is, I mourn for those who never knew you. And I'm like, holy fuck. Like, that is, I want to have that effect on people where they're like, nah, man, my life was good because you were in it. And it's okay that you're gone. The people I'm sad with are the people who didn't get to know you. And that would be the level of effect that I would want to have on a person. So if that were to ever be played at my funeral, it would be because someone felt like that was necessary, not because I asked for it. And I told my kids, I said, I will never ask you for that song. I want you to feel like you're playing it because it's right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's only one song I would want, and honestly, it's the Metallica "Wherever I May Roam," because honestly,
It's
I,
you.
I yeah, it is. That it's me. That is, and honestly, so I had a near experience. I've had a near experience. I say it like this: I met death once, right? I met a shadow of death once, and I realized one day I'm going to die. I did that. I realized this when I was 27 years old. That one day I was going to die, but it wasn't going to be a bad thing when that day came. Like this was the thing I got. Some people that moment breaks them when they realize that they are not going to be here forever. For me, it was the opposite. I recognize the fact that death doesn't judge. Death is not cruel, ironically enough, right? It is simply something that you're going to come and deal with, and you can. And sometimes we choose it, but no, most of the time it comes for us.
Yeah.
And when that moment comes, that moment will come for us all. At that moment in my life, I had a choice, and I could have actually gone to the and the interest again, and I sensed it. There was no judgment. Like I could have done it, and it wouldn't have been a penalty exactly, but I would have missed out on so much that I've done. And so one of my um, favorite video games. I just was just like I just have things to do, and that's kind of how I feel like. And when my time comes, whenever that time comes, I have other things to do. I don't feel the journey ends. And again, whatever you may believe yourself, I just from my own experiences, it's just like there is something more, and one day that time will come for me to go, and it'll be okay when that happens. As long as I'm doing what I love with people I love, when that time comes, it will not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right? And the way I know that I know people will miss me. I think, and I don't. I used to be afraid of being alone, but now it's not even so much that. I know that when I have been blessed that I've met so many amazing people, including yourself. Right, I've been very, very blessed that I've met, and I, because of my experience with my mortality, I realize that every time I meet somebody, I only have a limited amount of time with them.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal is really simple. I try to make the best impact I can on everybody, knowing that I isn't necessarily going to do that with everybody, but that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
When it's over, I can look back and say, what a wonderful thing that has happened. And that's it. Um, I know that I'm going to outlive some of my friends. I have outlived some of my friends, unfortunately. Some of them, and some of them will outlive me, probably anyway. And that's the thing. Like, I'm happy I had these moments. I'm happy I lived. That's the important thing. And everything else, It's nothing really to be afraid of. It's all part of life.
Yeah, man. No, sorry, I'm just enjoying the depth of those statements.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny as a storyteller, I'm not ready to die,
No, you're not.
and it's because I feel like my story's not over yet.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you notice it when you're reading a good story, you'll read something, you'll see a character and you go, that fucker's about to die. Because all of the resolution came, everything came together. And so I guess for me, I just want to be able to, when it's all done, go, yeah, yeah, it's somebody else's turn now.
Yep.
And I think that's all I'm kind of looking for in my life. And so
Of course.
I haven't completed that task, done that thing yet. That will then at the end of it allow me to do it. And I think I want to believe that I'm on that way. I finally found it. And that I'm moving towards that. And then when that task is done, I can just be like, cool.
All
It's
right.
your turn.
So the last challenge then for you, the last one.
Okay.
If you can let that even go, I'm not saying this is a tough one. This is a tough.
Yeah,
challenge.
yeah. No, I'm listening, but wow, yeah.
I recognize this. I have so many things I want to do. I'm not saying don't want to achieve those things. That's not what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much in life you can't control. Like I said this on my Facebook today. Last year taught us that the world was a dangerous place. But in one very real sense, it has always been a dangerous place. All that happened last year was it came to the forefront that it is
We
a
saw
dangerous
it.
place, right?
Yeah.
But that's always been true. Look, I had a sickness 5 years ago that I was terrified of. I saw my body lose control. Like I said, it's really weird for me because I've been through all these things that's really terrified people. I've been through a few of them myself, and you lose. You don't lose the fear exactly, but it doesn't hit you the same way after you go through it once.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about that is, the thing about that is, uh, you recognize the fact that there's just you come to accept the fact that there is as much as I want to live, I have to accept the fact that there's so much that's not in my control, and that tomorrow there's nothing is guaranteed tomorrow. But if I can let go of that control and focus on what I can control, what I love, and what matters, and this is my challenge to you, good sir. If you can truly do that, you will have no fear of what you might lose. And that is my ultimate challenge to you.
Okay.
Because if you can do that, you, my friend, are unstoppable until the grave calls your name.
Right. Okay.
Yeah?
That's gonna be a tough one. That's a much bigger challenge.
It is.
Because I can easily do a story with Angela Odling when I consider her.
I got you. But I think where I'm coming from on this, I'm not saying don't have those desires. I'm not saying don't.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not. Everybody I've ever talked about this. I never want anybody to die. That's not what I'm saying. But with the fact that we all are going to one day go, come to terms with that whenever that is.
And to me, what you're saying is relinquish your control.
Yeah.
And understand that it doesn't have to all go your way. And just be okay with that. And I get that. I'm not ready to do that, but I want to try to get ready. So I feel you. So thank you. That is something I will consider.
That's all I'm saying with you.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Thank you. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. You do you. I don't.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You do you. But again.
No, I feel you.
Yeah. That's been the secret to why I can't say I haven't gone crazy during this time, but I can say that I've never been afraid. And that's the one thing I think, and that's why I've already learned this lesson, and so it doesn't hit me the same way at all, right? So, That's a really deep way to end an interview, don't you think?
No, I think so too. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we gotta do that. We gotta do some business because you are here to promote something, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, actually, honestly, not really. Like,
Yeah.
I'm actually in that really weird kind of moment between things. I'm working on a lot of stuff. I'm finishing up. We're finishing up Belial 2. We're finishing up Essence House, and then we're also moving towards making the next Essence House book and the next Belial, and I'm working on. So I'm actually in this kind of sweet spot where I don't need to be on any shows. Just you said, hey, do you want to get together? And I'm like, fuck yes, I do. This is a lot of fun. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not that I want to take away anybody else's time, but like we've been on for 2 hours,
Mhm.
and it hasn't felt like 2 hours.
No.
And this has just been really nice, and hopefully the people out there could enjoy themselves. So what's up? I talked to you guys earlier. My name is Chuck. You can track me down on Facebook, Chuck Pineau. You can track me down on Instagram with the same name, Twitter at Chucky Pin, YouTube. Go to Chuck's Raw Reviews. You can find my show now that I have every Tuesday nights live. It's called Chuck's Shop Talk, where I interview someone new and I talk about the business and try to make us all better for after having listened to it and heard what their process is and how they do things. And then I also review comics, and I have tons of books that I've edited and written and whatnot. Google me, you'll track it down. There's all sorts of great stuff. But thanks, Josh. I've had a blast. Seriously, thank you so much for having me out.
No, this has been fun. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was a first. I'm drinking metal comic podcast, and we literally did talk about life, the universe, and everything in this one.
We did.
So, for my good friend Chuck, I wish you nothing but success for the rest of 2021, and I will definitely keep it in mind. Like, I literally should just do the next thing and just not worry about it. Is basically what you're telling me. So,
Mhm.
All right, I know. I think you're right. Beyond all that, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support this podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. Subscribe to it. I'm on Twitch, twitch.tv/JoshJoshingPodcast. My YouTube channel is Joshua Pantellaresco. If you have not clicked the subscribe button, stay inspired, keep shining in the dark, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.